What's good, boys? Random dice tier list. I've been playing this game way too fucking much, so we're about to pop off. Right, absorb dice, B tier. Feel like just the fact that I can get SP and shit, that could be pretty useful, but its DPS is complete dog shit. In co-op, it's pretty useful though. That's pretty much it for that dice. It's not the best, but I think it gets the job done. Arrow dice, C tier. I don't know why people use this dice. It's fucking ass. D tier. Um, unless you get insane attack speed on it, it still doesn't even do enough damage. Assassin S. Come on. Like what? This dice is fucking amazing. Co-op and PvP. PvP I put it in A, but co-op I put it in S. Above S. It, it's just fucking great. It's the only reason why we can get to high fucking waves. Adam. A. Yeah, recent buff. I'll give it an A. Just because it's insane against bosses, like the percentage damage, and now when you class it up, it does the atoms that do more damage. I think that's pretty fucking crazy. Blizzard, um, with the recent buff again, A. The cooldown definitely helps it. I would put it in B tier before, but definitely better than Ice Dice. So if you get this, go with Blizzard instead of Ice. Bounty, B. Just because I don't feel like it gives us much SP as it should. You could go, um, you can go Mind Dice. I always go this option instead. Co-op as well. Sacrifice is also a good option, just because it can merge. Uh, I don't like Bounty, just because it relies on what your teammate does. In co-op though, it's good on co-op, but in PvP, people can just not merge those dice, which makes the dice useless. Um, I'll put this in B. Um, just because sometimes it gets really annoying that it's not attacking the first thing, even though it does do a pretty decent amount of damage and you get more attack speed from it. Um, whenever you class up. Actually, never mind. I'm thinking about gamble dice. Uh, the broken dice, I don't know how to explain it. It's not the best, but I mean, early game, it's pretty good. Clone dice, C tier. It takes way too fucking long. Like I thought, the random growth things were fucking long. This shit takes way too fucking long. I don't know why it feels like it takes longer. Combo, A tier. Uh, with the buff, recent buff. Gonna have to put an A tier just because it can be way more consistent early game now. S tier. Do you really need fucking explanation for this? Cracked. A tier because it's good with early game and late game. Better late game because of the fucking percentage damage. Pretty fucking crazy. I really like this dice, especially in co-op. Want to put this in C. I mean, the critical dice is pretty good, but you could just have a Typhoon in there and a speed gun dice, and it'll give you 10% more without having to use this dice. Death dice. Uh, B tier, just because it's not effective against bosses or the shielded enemies, but it's pretty good. It works both early game and late game, so I'm putting it in B tier. Electric, D tier, C tier, because I still think it's better than Air dice because of the chain effect, and it does have potential to increase attack speed when you class it up. So it's pretty good. See, this dice, it really depends on where you are in the game. So the energy dice, I want to put it in B tier just because most of the time you want to spend the SP unless you're in co-op, and that's when you start saving. But you're saving because you either have a full yin and yang or a solar lunar build or something like that. So I want to put this in B tier just because it has the potential to be fucking insane. Flame, C tier. Oh, not flame. This is fucking, is it fire? I think it's fire. Yeah, fire dice. This is flame. Fire dice C tier. It is a starter dice, which, in self-explanatory. They give it to you at the start, and it's not supposed to be good, but it's supposed to help you really early class. Flame dice A tier. I don't know why people underestimated this dice for some reason. Um, but I would put on A tier because of the insane fucking damage this thing can do. I mean, it is fucking annoying as shit to move your dice around, keeping the flame alive, especially when it's higher than 1 or 2. Because that's when the higher the dot count, the faster the flame dies down. Having a star flame dice is fucking agonizing. You just have to hold down the entire time. Flow dice, it used to be S, but now it's A. Because I feel like the enemy can just have another DPS dice instead of this to counter the effects of this. So it'll kill the enemies faster. So the increased attack, increased movement speed of the enemies wouldn't make a difference really. Gamble dice A tier. This dice is insane. Solo mode, they've been really using this dice in solo mode. And it's good. It carries you in all early solo mode things. And co-op, PvP, not in co-op, I don't use this in co-op, but in PvP, this dice has insanely good fucking DPS. Gear dice, B tier, or yeah, B tier. Not as good as Yin and Yang, but definitely the substitute for Yin and Yang for people that don't have it. Gift dice, I'm not gonna count this. Actually, we'll just do it. C tier. During the event, I'd obviously put it higher because it's more useful. Why am I doing D tier? I'd obviously put it because it's way more useful. Does like 20 damage at class 5, I think. So it's pretty ass. Self-explanatory. Do I really need to explain? Gun. B tier. They need to buff sniper. Sniper isn't that good anymore. I don't think it's ever been really good. They need to make its damage more because I'd rather go 6 shotgun gun dice rather than a star sniper, just because it has more you can attack more enemies at the same time and do a shit ton of damage output. And sniper takes way too long to charge up. So when they buff sniper, I'll probably put this in A tier. Heal dice, C tier. To be honest with you, I hate this dice. I've used it once and never used it again because I don't know. I don't feel it's as useful. You always go flow instead. Yeah. Hell dice, B tier. Same thing as death dice. The insta kill doesn't apply to bosses um, and shielded enemies. And it doesn't attack either, which is pretty sad because you could always go this instead. But this with Typhoon is really good against basic enemies. Sword, A tier. The orange swords that it gets, especially when it's like a star or a higher dot count, is fucking crazy. It's insanely good how much damage it does, and it's percentage wise as well. And because it's percentage wise, it can work both early game and late game, which is great. Ice dice, C tier. I used to use this until like class 8 because it is really useful. But I always go Blizzard instead. I feel like it's way more useful. Poison, B tier. It's amazing early game. It's really good. Mid and late game, it's pretty much useless. You wouldn't need it anymore. Steel dice, A tier. Um, the double damage against bosses thing really seals its fucking spot. It's crazy good. And since it has the potential to also like classing up increases its damage, and the power up also makes it like I think 100 or 90 more damage. It's fucking crazy. See, this dice, I fucking hate this dice, especially when it's used against me. The fucking I think it's IX10. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's named IX10. I fucking despise this dice, but it's broken. It's so good. Co-op, I wouldn't use it in co-op, but in PvP, probably better than Royal Dice. That's what I would say, because it can really fuck with someone. Even it can fuck them more if they have Yin and Yang, because it'll just fucking heal them. It's crazy good. Joker, S tier, self-explanatory. Landmine, I want to put in A tier just because that stun that it does, um, with the super mines is great, especially late game. You might need that in PvP. Laser, C tier. It's just it's like rock dice, but I feel like it's more consistent. Um, Light dice, B tier. It's useful. Co-op though, I would put a time dice with your teammate so he can buff them. I wouldn't use light dice in co-op, but in PvP I would, just because of that increased attack speed. Lock dice, B tier. Um, it can, I mean, insta locking enemies is great, but I feel like it needs to definitely be more useful. It can lock bosses too. Actually, yeah, I'll keep it a B tier because it can lock bosses. That's why I'm putting it so high up. Uh, Moon dice, A tier. We'll put on A tier because it doesn't work very well with every single dice in the game. But with this paired with solar, really shines. Pretty fucking good. Metasys dice, A tier. They nerfed uh, they nerfed it quite a bit, but it's still pretty good. Uh, Great Wind or Mighty Wind, A tier. This dice is the substitute for Typhoon. You always want to go this dice if you don't have Typhoon. Um, Even if you do have Typhoon, I've seen people go Typhoon and Mighty Wind. Pair that with a supplement dice and a Joker, and it's really crazy. Uh, Mimic, A tier. It just because it can go with combo, assassin, pretty much any dice that requires a merge effect to happen. It goes with it very well, and it really procs it, which is nice. Heal dice, I mean mind dice, A tier. It's what you use in co-op. If you are the support person in co-op, use this dice to get your money. Um, Modified electric, B tier. B tier because of it's insanely good early game, and because it's the amount of chains it damages from the amount of chains from enemies is dependent on the dot count. So if you get a star modified electric, you're set early game and mid game. Late game though, it just doesn't do enough damage. Explosion dice, I mean, or nuclear dice, B tier. I mean, it's not that good. Just because it can't insta kill bosses. If it could insta kill bosses, that would be fucking great. But it only insta kills smaller enemies and just deals a lot of damage to bosses. But to actually get this effect, you need to merge it, and it doesn't do enough DPS. It does 30 basic damage at class 7. I'm not really sure about it. I mean, if they get a damage buff, I'd definitely put on A tier, but right now I'll keep it at B. Poison, C tier. Self-explanatory. It's a starter dice. It's not supposed to be good. It's just supposed to get the job done early game. Random growth. Okay, this dice is really fucking hard. Either your random growth grows into a star growth and then grows back down to a 1 fucking pip growth, or it turns into something amazing. So I'm gonna keep it at A tier. Yeah, I'll keep it at A tier just because its consistency is not as good as the purples, but it's still super useful if you have really good RNG. Rock, I prefer go laser instead of rock. Um, Rock is still useful though. Actually, I take that back. I prefer to go rock instead of laser. Forget what I said about that. Because it does take out the entire map, and laser is kind of like a directed zone. It is slower to take up though, but early game it's really, really good. Royal, uh, A tier. I want to put on S, but I can't. They halved its damage. I mean, it's not really a DPS dice, but I would have still liked it to have a good amount of damage. 50 is not sufficient. It's still really good though. You can fuck up any yin and yanger or anyone going for a specific build. It's pretty good. Sacrifice, B tier. Uh, I don't feel like it gives you enough money. That's why I'm putting it so low or so high in the middle. Sandstorm. Um, it's a hard one, really. Or Sand Swamp. I'll put on A tier because it can come in clutch sometimes. I would prefer to go Blizzard though, or Barricade because Barricade just or Wall Dice just because it instantly stops it. I'll put it on B tier. Scope Dice, S tier. This Scope Dice paired with Typhoon is fucking crazy, and paired with Solar, paired with Flame, paired with pretty much anything that does either a shit ton of damage or shoots really fast. Fucking crazy. It's insanely good. Wall Dice, A tier. It can insta stop bosses. You can fuck up any Leon instantly. His dash becomes he can't dash through it. It's crazy. The silence dice. I want to put it higher, but in co-op it's fucking ass. It's really bad in co-op, but in PvP it's pretty good. I'll put it on B tier. Solar, S tier, self-explanatory. Its damage output is fucking crazy. Star. This is a hard one because in PvP it's never used, but in co-op it can get you pretty high. I'll put on A. Summoning dice, S. Self-explanatory again. Um, it can fucking. It is the reason why combo build works, and can be the reason why Typhoon works in PvP or not Typhoon. Yin and Yang works in PvP. Supplement dice, S tier. This dice is in almost all my builds because it is so fucking good. The just having the ability to instantly rank up a dice and keep it the same dice is insanely good at this game. So I definitely recommend just using this dice in your team, along with every dice in S tier, if you have him. Switch dice does really good damage. Recent builds in PvP have been shining with this and Yin and Yang, so I will be putting on A tier. Teleport dice, I mean, it can be good, but it can also screw you over, so I'm going to put it on B tier. It's either going to shine or completely fucking destroy the enemy, or it's going to completely destroy you. Really depends. Time dice, A tier. Would not use this in PvP. I would use this in co-op while doing a solar lunar build. In PvP though, I don't feel it's as useful. Thorn or Vine, B tier. I mean, people say this is really good, but I just think of it as a spike factor from BTD6. Eventually it will get useless because it just instantly dies. The thorns on the floor just die after a certain amount of time. Typhoon, A tier. This dice is fucking great. I want to put on S, but I can't just because late game it does not do enough damage. I really wish I could put it higher, but um, even when you fully power it up, it just does not do enough damage. Wave, B. Wave is good. Um, for PvP, it's good early game. I don't recommend using it in co-op or late game PvP, but it can be really useful, especially after the set amount of time to make its AOE bigger. Wind, also starter dice, self-explanatory. It's not supposed to help you. I mean, it's not. It's supposed to help you really early game, but it's not supposed to stick with you. You're supposed to get rid of it. Replace it with Mighty Wind or Typhoon. Yin and Yang. Come on. Come on. Really? Does this really need explanation? This dice is the reason why the game is what it is right now. I don't know. This dice is like everyone uses this dice. If you do not have this dice, you are I don't know how you are playing this game. The game shines off of this dice like it really does. Um, uh, the perfect harmony. Even though they nerfed it, it really doesn't make a difference. This dice is fucking crazy. The harmony thing works all game. Um, Having a good teammate in co-op makes this even better. If you get a 7-star pip on every yin and yang on the board, you are fucking set to wave, I think 80 something. But having even more buffs on it, like the time, or maybe putting a cracked dice instead of one of the spots, is really, really, really good. Speed gun dice, forgot to put it in, but I would put it on B tier. I don't feel it's as useful as people say it is, just because it only affects a certain amount of dice or certain type of dice. And you can always just put Typhoon instead. But if they do keep it, so the season crit thing is really good. That's why I'm putting it on B tier, high B tier actually, just because the season crit thing, you don't need the blade dice or the sword dice or critical dice, same fucking thing. You wouldn't need this if you have a Typhoon and a speed gun. Alright, that's all of them. Shit.